Hey guys, happy Monday, December 1st. We are 2 months into Q4 now, 1 month to go. And I thought the end of November would be a good time to do a quick recap of where we're at on the Q4 box office. And if these box office numbers have impacted at all my forecast, my way of thinking about how it is going to affect AMC for Q4 and into Q1. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about how I am viewing this trade, stick around. We're going to get right into it. In previous videos over the last few weeks and even over the past year, I've shared many things with you guys about how I am analyzing any potential speculative investment in AMC. I did completely exit the trade in November of 2024. The stock is down 50% since then, and I've gone over the reasons why I am keeping dry powder on the side and not entering the trade right now. And in more recent videos, I shared with you my belief that the convertible note holders who received shares in July, including Pentwater and Discovery, would be selling those shares ahead of the upcoming December vote, and that we would see some downward pressure on the stock. And indeed, we did see downward pressure from mid-October all the way until last week, where it bottomed out at $2 and a couple pennies. And I think maybe that selling pressure is done now, because since November 21st, the stock has stopped going down. In fact, it ran up almost 20% the week after November 21st. We know that Discovery Capital has already completely sold all of the shares that they were given in July. And I guess we'll probably find out, it is my belief, we will find out in the next filing from Pentwater that they have also completely sold off all those shares. So if I am correct, it's just a guess because we don't have an updated filing from Pentwater. If I am correct and they are done selling, then maybe we get a little more normal price action. And that is why I think that the price has been going up over the last week or so. I know many of you have been told or believe from social media that Pentwater made a bullish bet and just went out and bought 48 million shares of AMC. That is just not the case, guys. We have a long history with Discovery Capital and Pentwater Capital as debt holders, bond buyers from AMC, and they often receive shares and they almost always sell them as soon as they do that conversion, or AMC does a debt for equity swap on those convertible notes. Long history, and you can go look that up yourself. Here's a little blurb from an article going over what happened in 2024. And even in this article, they say that they got these shares and they immediately sold them for a profit. Remember that distressed debt lenders do not consider themselves shareholders. They don't want to own the shares. They want to own distressed debt. And if they get shares in a conversion or an exchange and they're able to immediately dump them for a profit, they are going to do that, which is why I told my Discord back in July to expect downward pressure here in 2025 leading up to the shareholder vote. So that kind of catches us up to where we're at in the due diligence right now and what I think has been driving the price action, crossing fingers that Pentwater is done selling and maybe we get that normal price action. But in 9 days or so, we have the upcoming AMC shareholder vote. Hopefully you guys have all voted in that. Make sure you get your vote in however you vote. I don't have any voting instructions for you. Vote your conscience. Now that we're caught up on what's going on with the price action and we know that the vote is coming up, let's turn our attention to the box office for Q4 and for Q1. You guys know that I forecast out typically 2, 3, 4, 5 quarters box office and cash flow so that I can have my own best guess for myself what the cash needs of the company are going to be versus revenue and income, because I want to understand those cash flows. I want to be able to predict for myself when the company might be in a liquidity trap and they might need to do a at the market offering to raise some cash. Let's then look at the box office and see where we're at and what am I thinking about Q4 in Q1. With November and the Thanksgiving holiday behind us now, we went to go see Zootopia 2 over the holiday weekend. I hope you guys got a chance to see that one. If not, be sure and check it out. Both Wicked and Zootopia 2, fantastic movies. With the holiday weekend, we had 185 million for the 3-day weekend. If you want to look at 4 or 5 day, those numbers came in at 217 million or 283 million. Not a bad holiday period. Not quite as good as last year, but in the grand scheme of things, much needed and decent numbers for these two movies. That brings the Q4 box office total, October and November, with 4 weeks to go in Q4, to $1.2 billion. Not quite as high as I would like to see it. Including this week, which ends on Thursday, December 4th, we have 5 weeks left in the quarter, and I kind of have some numbers of what the average box office per week would need to be, depending on what target you want to see for Q4 domestic box office. And based on my look at the remaining movies in Q4, I think it's a reasonable bet that we'll end up somewhere over 2.2 billion, maybe as high as 2.4 billion for Q4. I haven't really spoke up until now about my estimates for Q4 because it's just down to the wire, and I really wanted to get this Thanksgiving weekend behind us. We still have a couple of good movies coming up in December towards the end of the month, but I have these other numbers, 2.5 to 3 billion, all shaded in pink or red, and it is less likely in my estimation that we will reach Q4 numbers above 2.4. Although if we get 2.5, 2.6, that would be celebration worthy, because I'm not coming up with numbers that get me there in my own analysis. To hit that number that I'm hoping for, 2.2 to 2.4 billion for Q4, that means we need to achieve in the last several weeks of the calendar year $1 billion to 1.2 billion in box office. That is a huge number, especially if you look at the last 3 years of December box office. So, it's okay if you have a different number. I'm not going to try and talk you out of whatever numbers you are hoping for, and go see some damn movies. This box office is not going to fix itself, and you can rest assured that I'm going to be seeing as many as I can in the month of December. I have run some numbers for Q4 using various box office, and it's still too early for me to share that with you guys. Let's get the quarter done. But, we kind of know that the company needs over 2.55 billion or so to have a positive net income, positive earnings. And we also know that Q4 has an asset impairment that will be negatively impacting the numbers. So just kind of keep that stuff in mind. In terms of cash flow, yes, it is still possible that Q4 will be a positive cash flow because of the way that receipts from box office come in late in the quarter, and then those bills aren't due until Q1. And I do look forward. I know that makes some of you really mad that I look forward, but you need to be thinking forward as an investor. We can't just be looking at one weekend or 1 month or 1 quarter. If you want to improve your timing and minimize your risk, you need to be thinking forward. And it doesn't mean that you need to agree with my analysis either. I could be completely wrong, but I think that similar to what happened 12 months ago, Q4 is going to be pretty good, and then Q1 is going to be pretty bad. There'll be a positive cash flow in Q4. There'll be a cash burn in Q1, and we don't need to rehash those numbers again, but you should go look at them or watch my last couple videos on AMC to see what I am concerned about and why I am kind of sitting it out until I see where does Q4 end up and how is Q1 looking. Q1 in my book right now is not looking too great. And I did improve the numbers a little bit based on some feedback from you guys as we looked through in a live stream recently. What I have forecast for Q1, I did bump it up a little bit, but it is not a material change in how I'm viewing the cash burn for Q1. Why does cash burn matter? Am I a short? Am I trying to scare you out of the play? No and no. I don't care how you trade the stock. I'm talking about what I'm looking at and why I am sitting out, because I'm trying to forecast what the company's liquidity is going to be and what their cash needs are going to be and what is likely to happen in terms of corporate actions. And there are some risks which still keep me on the sidelines. Maybe that'll be the right decision. Maybe it'll be the wrong decision. Please don't criticize me on a day-to-day basis. I'm looking out 4 or 5 months. So let's circle back in 4 or 5 months when we get the Q1 earnings report, and we'll see who had the best analysis of what is going to happen with AMC. To close this video out, a couple of y'all have had some great questions about Hycroft and how it's going to potentially affect AMC's Q4 results, and why am I not talking about it? Look, I've made plenty of posts on Hycroft. You guys know that I went long on Hycroft, and I own SLV, and we're waiting for the Hycroft technical report at the end of this month. Hycroft's trading at $12. It ended Q3 around $6. So AMC will likely have a considerable gain posted to Q4 numbers, as much as maybe $18, $19, $20 million of investment gain, and that will favorably help Q4. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Hycroft go even higher. And whatever the quarter ends up at, we'll calculate that at the appropriate time. It's just too early for me to bank my reputation on anything with you guys because we still have a month to go in the quarter. But, if we use today's price, I think, $18, $19, $20 million of investment gain could be added to Q4. However, as you know, if you've been watching my videos, I'm not concerned so much about what number is reported on GAAP earnings as the liquidity. If AMC books a gain on Hycroft, unless they sell those shares, that is not a cash gain. Now, could they sell the shares and book a profit? Absolutely, they could. And we'll figure that out if and when they tell us that they sold the shares. For now, all I can tell you is AMC will probably have a positive impact from Hycroft on Q4 numbers, but it will not impact cash and it will not impact liquidity. Therefore, it is not a primary concern for me at the moment to analyze any potential investment decision. If AMC books a gain due to Hycroft, that's something worth celebrating after all this time we have waited. But just understand, if you're trying to understand me or my content, that I am concerned about AMC's liquidity, and a investment gain from Hycroft does not impact cash, does not impact liquidity. That brings us up to date for today, December 1st. The next time I'll probably talk with you guys about AMC will be on the day of the shareholder vote. I will be live streaming that, so I hope to see you on that live stream and we can find out the results together. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below. You guys know I love to hear from you, so don't be shy. Just be an adult. Thank you for watching. I am Tony DeNaro, and I will see you on the next video.